describe what symbols and patterns are, as well as identify the universal meaning of various symbols. So let's get started. All right, symbols and patterns. First, we're going to talk about a guy named Carl Jung. He was a psychologist back in the late 1800s, 19th century. He began a new field of psychology called analytical psychology. And he said that we all, meaning humans, we all share certain characteristics, that we all want to understand ourselves better, and we tend to recognize different symbols the same way within our cultures. Okay, so what he's saying is that basically there is a human connection that we're born with, and symbols are one of the ways that we connect with one another. All right, so symbols, what are they? Symbols are images that are used to convey meaning. Jung believed that symbol creation was a key in understanding human nature. We understand ourselves better if we understand symbols and the ideas behind symbols, because they can represent things that it's difficult for us to put words to. He investigated the similarity of symbols in different cultures and time periods, and he found that there are a lot of similarities from culture to culture and also over vast periods of time. All right, so patterns. A pattern is a design or event that repeats over and over and over. A pattern in design happens in space. In other words, in 2 dimensions, happens in space. That's a pattern in design. Okay, so this would be a pattern in space. This would be a pattern in space. This is a pattern in space. A pattern of events happens over time. Okay, now we can observe certain patterns that are happening over time in the stories that we've told for thousands of years. Okay, going all the way back to cave days. All right, so let's look at some of those patterns that we find in stories. I want you to, in a second, pause the video and make a list of all the things that the following stories have in common. Okay, Sleeping Beauty and Snow White. All right, pause, see what you come up with, and then hit play again. All right, welcome back. Here is the list that I was able to come up with. See how it compares to your list. Both Snow White and Sleeping Beauty are princesses. Both are put into a deep sleep by a witch. The princesses both get cursed by a jealous person, in Snow White by the queen and in Sleeping Beauty by the wicked witch. Both get help from little people. Snow White has 7 dwarves taking care of her, and Sleeping Beauty has her fairy godmothers. Both are awakened by a prince, and both girls were saved by a kiss. So let's look at some symbols that have universal meaning. This is a circle. Circles can symbolize family, okay, because of the wedding ring. When you put your arms around someone to give them a hug, you're creating a circle. Circles can also stand for the circle of life. They can stand for an unbroken cycle. That's what the circle of life is. It's an unbroken cycle. And the food chain is also an unbroken cycle. You have to have a food chain in order for life to continue. Circles are also infinite in that there's no beginning point and they never end. Hearts symbolize love, life, and health. Some of you guys play video games, and if you sustain any damage, you lose part of a heart or you lose a heart. And that shows that you are weakened. A black heart can stand for hatred and wickedness or death. Lightning. Lightning stands for power, manliness, masculinity. Fiery, hot-tempered. Remember this guy? Okay. Lightning McQueen. Hot-tempered guy, right? Water is a symbol for creation, purification, fertility. The ocean or the sea can symbolize the mother of all life. Also, death and rebirth, so maybe even think baptism here. And it's also a symbol for timelessness and eternity. The sun symbolizes warmth. It is a source of creative energy, or a symbol for creative energy, like thinking. Okay. It is a symbol for enlightenment, finding the truth, finding knowledge. That's what enlightenment means, basically. It's wisdom. A rising sun can symbolize birth and creation. A setting sun can symbolize death. Now let's take a look at the seasons. Okay. Spring can symbolize birth or rebirth. Summer symbolizes life. Fall is maturity. Things are maybe kind of starting to die. And then finally, the winter is we are without life. It is death. These are some symbols that I would like for you just to kind of think about and know about. I also want you to understand the idea of patterns and repetition, okay? This lesson builds towards something that we are going to use in a week or two. So it'll make a little bit more sense then. Because the online setup, it's a little bit different right now, but just hang in there with me. I promise you it's all going to make sense here in a little bit. So there will be a few questions on Google Classroom for you via a Google form, so go check that out. All right, that's it.